Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 45 of the In From Japan podcast, the podcast where we talk about the latest news on Japan-developed games and other things in relation to them, available on YouTube, Spotify, Podbean, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. As always, I'm your host, Erroll Moss, and with me is my co-host, the phenomenon from Suriname, Jason Corder.
Hey, hey.
And we have a very special guest today. We have Xyger of My Xbox and Me.
Hello, everyone. What's good?
Hey, nice of you to join us.
Nice for you guys to invite me on.
Yeah,
it's fun to be here.
Definitely. So, Xyger, for those who don't know, who art thou, and what does thou do?
Who are you?
Who are you?
So, my name is Jonathan, but most people on the internet refer to me as Xyger. It's a name I made up in middle school. But I am a writer for a small channel called My Xbox and Me. We've lately been getting a lot of extra support lately because of the launch of the Series X. It's been a lot of fun, but like most of the time I'm just a typical news writer. Every now and then I will occasionally review games for the website. But other than that, I'm just a kind of funny best friend. I like to hang out on Twitch a lot, meet a lot of people there, and I'm also on Twitter sometimes.
Yeah. Well, it's very kind of you to join us, and my first question to you would be, what does Xyger mean? Or how did you come up with that name?
Okay, so in middle school, we were learning about like evolution and stuff in 7th grade, and me and my friend were kind of goofing off in class and not really paying attention, and we drew a tiger. I was like, okay, because evolution is a thing, what if we give him like Wolverine claws, made him like green instead of orange, and like it was a genetically enhanced super tiger, and we wanted to call it the X Tiger, but that sounded kind of lame, so we settled on Xyger.
I mean, as far as made up things go, that's pretty rad. So
thank you.
That's
yeah, I just stuck with the name since then.
Yeah, that's nice, man. That's really nice. So, Erroll, I guess you want to start talking about the games we have been playing, and I see that you have a very special game.
Yes. So, this week I have been playing Kamen Rider Memory of Heroes on PS4. I was planning on playing Yakuza Like a Dragon, but my Series X has not been working with it, and it's been having issues. More on that later. But anyways, it's not like I don't have anything to play.
Yeah.
I have Kamen Rider Memory
Right?
of Heroes. Stylish action game based on Kamen Rider, has 3 different Kamen Riders you can play as. Kamen Rider Double, which is the first Kamen Rider you get to play as. Kamen Rider O's and Kamen Rider 01, because at the time of development 01 was the most recent Kamen Rider. So it's a stylish action game, I'd say kind of in the vein of a Platinum game, but it doesn't control quite as smooth.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not really that far in it yet. It does one of those things where it introduces you, and like you play as Kamen Rider Double in the beginning, and you have all his powers and all the forms, and then you lose them, and then as you progress, you pick them up again. And you just have it's a stylish action game. You got your punches and your kicks and your special attacks and form changes, and you just got to combine all of those. It's a bit easy on the easy side, because you can get a triple S rank really easily, and you also only have easy and normal difficulties at the start. I have died though. I have died once or twice. No, maybe only once, and that was to a boss, and because I had low health in the first place. But we'll see if it gets harder as it goes on. I've heard that's pretty much the main complaints are it's a little too easy and the story isn't great. And I'm like, it's a TV show tie-in game. I don't expect the story to be great in general.
Sure. But are you at least enjoying yourself?
So far, yes. I do wish things progressed a little faster sometimes, because it's not like you're just like going and beating up enemies all the time. Sometimes you have to, go find a passcode to open a door, or find a key or something, and that just kind of feels weird in a stylish action game when you're walking around like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know there are other games that do that, but like in any stylish action game, that
does it feel like
walking
out of place?
around, yeah, it always feels kind of out of place, and I get why, especially in the levels I'm in. Because Kamen Rider Double it's a tokusatsu show, but it's also a detective show.
Okay.
So you have a bunch of little gadgets to help you find things.
Yeah. So you said it was kind of on the easy side, and last week when we were talking with Ian, he mentioned that the main demographic for Kamen Rider and Ultraman and all those kinds of shows are typically aimed at children and elementary grade level.
I'm not ashamed of it.
No, it's fine. You're allowed to like it, but I think they're targeting.
Well, but the thing is. But the thing is, Kamen Rider Double and Kamen Rider O's are from a while ago.
Okay. But still,
So-
Kamen Rider is still associated with that demographic,
Yes,
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's marketed usually towards a younger audience.
So I'm
yes.
guessing that's why the difficulty is on that easier side. Another question I had.
But I feel like that's also kind of an insult to the kids, though, right? Because you can get a triple S rank so easily.
Well, we don't know.
It's one of those things where, like, it's, I don't know. I don't think it's enough of a challenge sometimes, and that's kind of like, it makes it feel not quite as rewarding.
Okay. So you're saying even for that demographic, it might still be too easy. Okay, gotcha. So
Depending on how much experience they have with the genre.
sure.
yes.
So it not being localized officially, but it having an English language track, at least for the subtitles, or
For the Southeast Asian
yeah,
version,
exactly.
the one I have.
Interesting.
How does that hold up?
The subtitles are fine. I haven't seen any like errors or anything. I'm surprised it hasn't been it's not I mean, obviously it's not localized because Kamen Rider isn't that big here yet. But I was just kind of, I was like, they could localize this and they would barely have to do any work because the English script is already there.
Yeah, so you didn't have to look up a GameFAQs wiki guide.
No, I didn't have to Yokai Watch 4 plus
Okay. That's good to hear. All right. Anything else you've been playing this week? Maybe.
I've been doing more Dynamax adventures and I had to fight against my nightmare.
Your actual nightmare or your nightmare Pokemon?
Can it be both?
I'm guessing
like it's both.
Sure. Explain your nightmare.
Dynamax Stunfisk.
Really?
Huh.
I hate that thing. I hate that Pokemon so much.
That's a surprising choice
Yeah.
to have a Pokemon to hate.
Yeah.
And then I also had to fight Dynamax Galarian Stunfisk, which isn't much better.
I mean, you have an actual garbage Pokemon, but Stunfisk is the one you choose. Okay.
It's for me, it's failed potential, okay? It's an electric and ground type. Doesn't evolve anything to anything. It has water moves too, and it's like its Pokemon cry is just like.
Okay.
Yeah, that's accurate. But it's better than Dunsparce, who is the Pokemon I hate the
how
most.
dare you! No, get out of here.
No, Dunsparce is worthless. He doesn't evolve. He doesn't know any good attacks.
He is a treasure, and he is a Tsuchinoko who brings good luck, and Stunfisk is a farting fish pancake.
Wow.
You're not wrong.
Strong
You are not
words.
And
wrong.
also, here's the other thing. He gets a Galarian form, gets a steel typing, doesn't even get much better. He turns into a bear trap, and that's about it.
So when does Dunsparce get good?
When they actually do give him an evolution.
So never.
Maybe someday. Gen 9.
Here's to hoping. Okay, so that's been you. Xyger, what have you been playing this week?
I've been playing a lot of Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Nice.
Yeah, we got the game through
Sure
Sega, so I
have.
can review it on my Xbox and me, which the review's up now if people want to go check that out. But, like, Yakuza Like a Dragon, when I heard about the game first, like sometime at the beginning of the year, I didn't think too much of it until I started playing it, and I'm just blown away by like how polished of a game this is. Like, I always heard about the Yakuza games, and at first I thought Yakuza was just Japanese GTA, but that is not at all the case. It's this whole huge like cinematic beat 'em up in a sense, and Like a Dragon's the first
Yeah, that's
deviation
exactly.
from that to where it's an RPG, and all of the RPG elements in Like a Dragon have just been so well done, and it's honestly, it might be my game of the year so far.
Nice. It's sounding like you're falling for the Yakuza effect, like so many before us. Me, I had this same feeling with Yakuza 0, where I've seen the reviews, I've heard about it, and I knew enough from reading the wiki, but it never prepared me for what I was about to experience with men in diapers, with gangsters singing karaoke, with
Completely agree.
with people in wheelchairs doing sick moves, and so much more. And it's such a weird, wonderful time when you're playing a Yakuza game. So I'm really happy to hear.
I wish I could play my copy.
Yeah, soon. You can play it soon, I'm sure.
Well,
Yeah.
the PS4 version is out, so if you're really hurting to play this game, there are options.
Yeah.
But yeah, because of Like a Dragon, it's made me more interested in trying out the other Yakuza games. So I have like 0, I think, ready to go, so I can start that later. But other than Yakuza Like a Dragon, I've just been playing like... I'm about to get back into Destiny 2 because of the new expansion that came out.
Nice.
But other than those...
Wait, do you play that?
Huh? What was that?
You play that on Xbox, right?
I've primarily played it on PlayStation 4. However, because of how Bungie has it set up, you can move your saves across platforms.
Yeah.
So I was going to switch to Xbox because on Xbox you get all the DLC for free.
Yeah. That's what I'm doing too with my PC save. Although I'm still new to the whole thing, so.
Oh, you'll get into the swing of things soon enough. So, Xyger, for Yakuza Like a Dragon, I have a specific question. It being the 7th mainline title, do you feel like you're being kind of thrown into the weeds of it all, or is it easy enough to follow along with the story?
It is completely, like, super easy to follow along. At no point in the game did I ever feel like I was missing out or uninformed about things. There is a character you meet somewhat early on, and you interact with this character, he joins your party, you have a great time, and it wasn't until the end of the game that I realized that the character was also a reference to something towards a past Yakuza game, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize this character meant so much at a certain point in the story of Yakuza. He was just a guy I just met now. Interesting. So it's like, if you played past Yakuza games, I'm sure you pick up on things more often, and there are bigger reveals to you, but at no point did I ever feel lost. And like, even when things from past Yakuza games came up, like certain characters and whatnot, even though I didn't have that history with them, I was able to feel that impact of like, when X character shows up, it's like, oh my god, this is a huge moment. And like, even not knowing who this character is, their backstory, their life story, what they've done to the series, you feel that impact and you feel invested in a way that was surprising. Like, throughout my experience with the game, it's like I said, there was no point where I felt lost, but I felt like I was in with them, and the main character does a great job, or the main character of Yakuza Like a Dragon does a great job of making or having the world explained to him, because he was in jail for 18 years, so he is just as lost as you as everything goes on around you, and it's like a great way to introduce someone to this crazy, bizarre world.
Nice. So it's great to hear that it's so accessible for newcomers. I'm really happy to hear that. So I think I'll go ahead with the games I've been playing. As usual, which is our running gag now, I have no time to play games, really, because of my 9 to 5. So I'm stuck with mobile games and live service games that eat up most of my time, which have been Tales of Crestoria. I like Tales games. I like Tales of Crestoria a fair bit. But the only thing that bothers me is that it makes my phone so hot after playing for such an extended period of time that I'm this close to deleting it. Which is a shame because the story and the setting of the game is so compelling. Where it's about what do we do with sinners in the world? What do we do with crime? How do we define crime? And how do we define who's good, who's bad, and capital punishment? How does that play a role in this world? Do we have the right to enact capital punishment? Which is heavy stuff for a cutesy anime-esque JRPG, but it's really great to experience for a mobile game, notwithstanding. But yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that it doesn't really feel comfortable enough to play, which makes me kind of sad. Next to that, I have Final Fantasy IV on my Android phone. It's the DS version that has been ported to most every other console and platform. I know not a lot of people.
Isn't that the one?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that the one known for being more difficult?
Yeah. Though I never really thought of it as difficult. There are two difficulty modes when you start the game up. So there's normal and hard, which is representative of the original difficulty, I'm assuming. But I've never had any problem with the game's difficulty, so I think I'll be fine. And this being the first version of Final Fantasy IV I've consumed, it really has a soft spot in my heart, so I don't really have that affinity for the pixel art that other people claim as their favorite. So this one is my definitive Final Fantasy IV. I'm not that much into it because, like I said, no time. But I have played it previously, and I just wanted to own it finally. So that's what I've been playing. And also, Destiny 2 makes a comeback in my life.
Yeah, boy.
I was really on the fence because I was out of it for so long. Like, the last time I actively played was when Shadowkeep dropped, and maybe the first season after that. Everything else was just too many recycled things, just going through the motions, it felt like, and I didn't have any space for that in my life. I felt like, okay, I have time to play other things, but now that they're actually moving forward with the narrative, actually confronting the darkness in a tangible form, that just got me too excited, and I had to jump back in. And so far I've been enjoying my time. The stasis powers are really cool, really powerful, so I really believe the stories of people saying that it's OP in Crucible, which is the multiplayer suite. And I can't wait to wreck fools in the multiplayer suite. So stay tuned for that impression of mine.
What class do you play?
Which is really on point for my personality. I have all three classes, but my main class is the Hunter.
Interesting.
Oh, so am I.
Yeah.
When I play, I do mostly Warlock, but I also have one of each.
I want to try the other ones.
The main reason why I took Hunter, because I actually started with Warlock, but I migrated over to Hunter, is because the jumping is a lot more precise, with it actually being jumps and no floaty business. And when you're doing jumping puzzles or raid puzzles, that comes in handy a lot. So that's why I stick with the Hunter.
Yeah.
And I also have the Blade Barrage, coupled with that one exotic that gives me boosted super energy when I hit people with my Blade Barrage. So it's my ideal choice for Crucible too. Yeah, that's my pick.
All right, so moving on. I did not know we were going to talk about Destiny 2 on this podcast, but that's fine. Next up, we have one story on the In From Japan Day list, which is just recent video game related entertainment news, and it's that Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba film is now 7th biggest film worldwide in 2020. This is from Anime News Network by Rafael Antonio Pineda. Also number 2 highest earning animated film of the year worldwide.
Yeah, not surprising since there's nothing else airing this year.
Yeah.
But
so,
yeah, go ahead.
Entertainment news website Deadline reported on Monday that the Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba the movie Mugen Train anime is now the 7th highest earning film worldwide in 2020 when the Japanese box office totals are combined with Taiwan's box office estimates. The film is also the 5th highest earning film outside the US and the 2nd highest earning animated film of the year worldwide. The only 2020 animated film earning more so far is the Chinese film Legend of Deification.
Makes sense.
I also heard that it's also the 5th highest earning film of all time in Japan, surpassing Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone and becoming the 3rd highest earning anime film of all time in Japan. I also saw some tabloid was asking poor Hayao Miyazaki was just picking up trash, and some tabloid was asking him about it, and he's like, I don't care. He's like, what do you think about it beating Spirited Away's record? He's like, I don't care, I'm just picking up trash.
So the thing with Hayao Miyazaki, the thing with Hayao Miyazaki is, if you ask him about his philosophy on animation, he'll say, I'm trying to recreate what I see in everyday life. That's his ethos, or his philosophy on what to represent when animating. So he's not interested in what is the great big shonen hit, what is the next big thing dominating the box office or the airwaves. He's more interested in just competing with Disney on this level. I'm thinking. So
anime was a mistake.
Well, he's not wrong.
I know he didn't actually say that.
He's not wrong.
He didn't say that. People think he said that.
No, that's certainly a take I can find some truth in.
All right, moving on to recommended content. The content other than news from the past week that we list out. I put the links in the description. We have Cross-Gen Games by Scott the Waz over at his YouTube channel. PlayStation 4 Imports Guys, What You Need to Know by Graham Russell over at Michibiku. Review Sakuna of Rice and Ruin Can Grow on You by Jenni Lada over at Siliconera. Yakuza Like a Dragon review, Humanizing Me as an Immigrant by Monti Velez over at Uppercutcrit. Interview How Sakuna of Rice and Ruin's devs grew their own rice for research by Ishaan Sahdev over at Siliconera, which I forgot to write here. And why Pokemon Sword and Shield expansions replaced a 3rd game by Brian Shea over at Game Informer. And Phil Spencer talks Xbox, Halo, Elden Ring, and more by Tamor Hussein over at GameSpot. Alright. So now it's time for the news rundown, and I will let Jason, the bearer of bad news, and the Shinigami take it away.
Bankai. Okay, so first up is Sega Sammy asked 650 staff members to voluntarily retire. This is by Kite Stenbock for Siliconera. Sega Sammy published a press release in which it said it will ask 650 staff members to voluntarily retire. The company expects to see an extraordinary loss of around 10 billion yen in the full financial report of the current fiscal year that ends in March 2021, which is why it is pursuing these layoffs. Sega Sammy employed a total of 9,051 staff members as of September 30th, 2020. Both full-time and contract employees will be able to apply for voluntary retirement by December 25th, 2020. They will receive extraordinary retirement allowances and support in finding new jobs after they officially leave the company on February 28th, 2021. It's a bummer, which is to say Sega is not doing so hot. Sega Sammy then isn't doing so hot, and that's kind of odd with the games they've been publishing lately, like Persona.
Yeah, I'm surprised by this news. This is the first I've heard about it.
Hey, real quick, I'm just gonna move the two of the Xbox things up here because they should have been in that section anyway.
Okay. So it's kind of weird to read this, but I guess appearances can be deceiving, which goes double so for me because during Tokyo Game Show they were on fire with their presentation and their announcements, so it's really surprising.
Yeah.
Also, I've seen it pointed out on Twitter, I think by one of the business people in the gaming space, that they're pursuing voluntary layoffs because that will in the long run cost them less than when they have to fire people.
I saw something about that too.
But me reading now that they will have voluntary retirement with extraordinary retirement allowances kind of makes me scratch my head at that. So I guess more research is needed on this subject. Okay, next up is legendary Flash game Winnie the Pooh's Home Run Derby is finally shutting down in Japan. This is by Sato for Siliconera, and this gives my award for the weirdest news story of the year. Yahoo Japan announced that the legendary Flash baseball game Winnie the Pooh's Home Run Derby will finally be shutting down on December 16th, 2020.
It never gets any easier.
Yeah, poor Erroll. Winnie the Pooh's Home Run Derby was developed by Walt Disney Japan and released as a free game on Yahoo Kids Games in 2008. I'm sorry. However, it wasn't until January 2012 that it got popular through 2channel in Japan. Word of mouth eventually reached the West through 4chan, that's always a good sign, and Reddit around January 2013. It became a viral hit known for its many memes and insane difficulty. The last boss, Christopher Robin, is especially challenging.
Christopher Robin is the boss of this game? What?
Yes.
I have so many questions.
He is the final boss, and he is insane.
Okay, so
this is a baseball game, and it screws you over. Like, one of them can like turn the ball invisible briefly, and like they angle it, and this is. You can get to Christopher Robin, but it's really hard to get past Christopher Robin.
Okay, so my biggest question and my only question is this a Kingdom Hearts fever dream? Because I have no other way to explain this.
This is a notoriously hard game that you can get if you... there are like programs you can get to help preserve Flash games. So you can get it. I actually, I have a friend who, I don't know what the program he uses is called, but he downloaded a bunch just because, they're shutting a lot of Flash games down. And we watched him stream, like, almost the whole game. It was really funny. But yeah, I added this because it's such a notorious Flash game.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely learning something new every week. Okay, next up is PS5 games can't be installed or played on external storage right now. This is by Joe Scrabbles for IGN. Okay, I'll start with the original and then move to the update. PlayStation 5 currently doesn't allow you to install, store, or play next-gen games anywhere other than its internal SSD. As noted by Digital Foundry, next-gen games can't be played from an external drive, and the console currently offers no option to move your PS5 games into external storage. When the internal SSD is filled, the only option given is to delete games to free up space. Okay, and then the update. A new PS5 FAQ covers the current issues with storing PS5 games on an external USB hard drive, saying a future update could allow that process. And the quote starts with, players cannot transfer PS5 games to a USB drive, reads the answer to a question titled, "Can I store or play PS5 games from a USB drive?" And the quote continues, PS5 games must be stored on the console's internal ultra-high-speed SSD for gameplay. Explorations for allowing players to store but not play PS5 games on a USB drive in a future update are underway. End quote. So, this kind of makes me afraid of a PlayStation Vita repeat, where PlayStation is forcing you to use either proprietary stuff or stick within their locked ecosystem.
Yeah, right now their excuse is that there is no drive fast enough to work on the PS5, right?
Yeah.
That's what the story they're going with?
I guess. Maybe. I mean, technically there are drives, or there have recently been drives announced, like NVMe SSDs that would fit technically within the PS5's framework. I think Linus Tech Tips did a video on that a week ago, or maybe a bit longer, but it definitely should be possible, and they do have that storage option available as an open slot within the motherboard. So,
But as of right now, Sony themselves aren't supporting any specific drive.
No. So either they were pressed for time, or they're just like, you know what, we're number one. They're not going to complain too long, so we'll be fine. Okay. Next up is Xbox Series X owners experience bugs and hoaxes after launch day. This is by Giovanni Colantonio. Okay. I didn't mess that up. This is for Digital Trends. The Xbox Series X is officially out in the world, and owners are sharing a few quirks and problems with the system. Some issues seem to be real, while others may be viral hoaxes. The biggest launch day hiccup came from Xbox Live, which experienced issues on Tuesday. The Xbox support Twitter account confirmed the problem, which prevented users from logging into Xbox Live, and pushed out a fix just a few hours later. On the hardware side, Series X owners have reported a wealth of issues that range in scale. That's not uncommon for new console launches. After the Nintendo Switch launched in 2017, the internet was flooded with videos showing off doomsday scenarios like brick consoles and loud noises. The same is true for the Xbox Series X so far. A thread on the console subreddit collected a list of videos and posts about certain issues that have been popping up around the internet. Okay, so Erroll, you have first-hand experience with this.
That's the next story.
Okay.
Let's get to the next story.
I'll go to the next story. Next up, we have some Xbox Series X consoles are experiencing crashes when trying to load games. This is by Sean Endicott for Windows Central. The Xbox Series X recently launched, but some unlucky gamers aren't able to enjoy their new console. Several people have seen an issue that causes the Xbox Series X to crash when trying to load games. At this point, it's difficult to determine how widespread the issue is, but there is a growing Microsoft forum thread and a Reddit thread of people that see the issue. We've also received a number of reports across our own social media pages. Okay, and the update... Oh, wait, there are a lot of updates. Okay, update 1 says, quick resume temporarily disabled for some titles. Jason Ronald from Team Xbox stated that some optimized titles may be experiencing issues with quick resume. As a result, Microsoft has temporarily disabled quick resume for some titles and is working on a fix. It's not confirmed if the crashing is related to quick resume. Okay, and update 2. Some instances of the issue appear related to the Alpha Insider ring. Some people who experience this issue, including No Guy Test, fixed the problem by taking their console off of the Xbox Alpha Insider ring. While some instances of the issue appear related to being on the Alpha Insider ring, some people seem to have the issue without being on the Alpha Insider ring. Click on the article for more details. So Erroll, take it away.
Yeah, my Xbox has not been loading. Well, so I got my console, updated it, and so I was like, okay, I'm time to play Yakuza 7, and then, I got to the title screen, and then the Xbox just shut off. And so I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. And then I tried it again, same thing. Sometimes it gets to the title screen, sometimes it doesn't even get as far as the Sega logo. So I was like, okay, well, let's try some of these smaller games I downloaded. All of them worked fine, except for I think Perfect Dark froze, but I was kind of oh, whatever. So okay, so let me try another big game, Nier Automata. I get through the opening mission, same thing, shuts down. And a lot of people are having similar problems. There was this whole workaround doing stuff with the insider programming and downloading and reinstalling these updates and uninstalling and I tried doing that, but it didn't do it in the order the post was saying it's supposed to, and I just gave up. Then there was a thing that was oh yeah, they said they're aware of the problem and they're working on a way to fix it. They're scrambling on a way to fix it. So we're hoping this is a software issue, because disk drive works fine and Nier Automata was through Game Pass.
Okay, so Nier worked, Yakuza didn't.
Nier worked temporarily.
Okay, and you have no...
And a lot of people are having different things. Some people can play for an hour, then it shuts down.
Mm-hmm.
Some people can play for a few minutes. Some people are like me, and the thing barely even loads. And then, but other than that, everything else is working fine, for the most part. Viva Pinata freezes, but like I said, that's backwards compatibility. So that's kind of like a different. That's kind of like a different problem.
So, Xyger,
we're hoping
you have an Xbox Series X or Series S.
No, at the moment I do not.
Okay. So.
Okay.
Okay. So I was gonna ask if you ran into any of these problems, but I guess Erroll is very special in this occurrence.
There are a lot of people who are having this problem, though. There's a whole forum on the Microsoft support, people talking about it. That's why I know. I even posted on it, because there is a batch of consoles that aren't even turning on anymore.
That is unfortunate.
And they were all manufactured at between certain dates in August.
Oh no.
Yeah, I've been reading about the problem, and it's really bizarre because there doesn't seem to be any one reason that causes it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's no indication on when it's about to happen. Erroll, you mentioned you were able to play Nier for a while and then it would crash. There's no indication from the Series X or Series S console that it's the game is about to crash or anything. It just happens.
Well, the only indication usually is if it stops. If the game stops.
Right.
But,
I mean, prior to the
but
actual
there's no
stopping
other,
of the game.
and it doesn't give you, when you restart it, when that happens, it's supposed to give you a notification when something like that happens. But nobody's getting any notifications for the problems they're having. So even the Xbox is not recognizing that it's having problems.
So we talked a bit about this before the show started, but when
Did you try plugging it in, taking it out and plugging it back in again?
Yeah. So
I tried a lot of
when people...
Have you tried blowing vape smoke into it?
I don't have anything
or the ping pong ball method. When companies test their hardware and software, they test it under ideal circumstances. So the proper electricity is being used, the proper outlets are being used, room temperature, you name it. But when a console or a piece of software is released into the wild, it's being tested in real life settings by millions of people at the same time. And you're going to run into scenarios you can't even imagine, and that will obviously lead to people finding things that break or don't work as they should. So it's unfortunate, but it's always going to happen, I'm afraid.
Again, I don't usually get consoles at launch. This year I said screw it because conventions aren't a thing, and since I saved the money from that, I was like, okay, why not? How bad could it be?
Well, ain't I lucky? I never got a chance to pre-order.
Could be worse.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't know whether I have to return it or not yet. Like I said, hopefully it's just a software/firmware thing, and they can just update it, and it'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
because I'm not having problems with any other thing of the hardware. I'm not having the disk drive issues that people are having. I'm not having that turns off forever problem.
Okay, so I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, let's hope
here's
so.
something that all works out for you.
Yeah. Next up, we have Tales of Series.
This is in other news.
Yeah, I should know. This is no longer bad news. The Tales
of good news now.
Yeah, the good news. And now with the good news. Tales of Series 25th anniversary live stream announced. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. Bandai Namco will host a Tales of Series 25th anniversary live stream, the company announced. A date for the broadcast will be announced soon. So this is an announcement for the announcement. The live stream will feature game development stories and anecdotes with producers who have worked on the Tales of series, as well as discussions centered around user questions and survey responses. The latest information on the Tales of series, mobile games, events, anniversary goods, and more will also be announced. Okay, I'm definitely looking forward to this. I'm wondering if they're going to have Hideo Baba back for this panel.
Do you think we'll see Tales of Arise?
I'm hoping. I'm really hoping.
Yeah, we haven't heard about that game in so long.
Yeah.
The last time we heard about it got delayed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's to hoping we see more of it, because I think I'm probably the biggest Tales fan on this show at the moment. In our immediate circles, I'm definitely the biggest Tales fan.
Which Tales is your favorite? Just out of curiosity.
Symphonia.
Nice. Okay, mine is Abyss.
Yeah, that's a lot of people's favorites. It's worked on by the same team. So Symphonia led to Abyss, while another team worked on Legendia in the meantime. But yeah, Tales of Arise is still to be revealed properly. You have 3 mobile games currently being offered by Bandai Namco. You have Tales of Rays, Tales of Crestoria, and another one I'm blanking at for the moment. But 2 of the 3 are Japan only, while Tales of Crestoria is for worldwide audiences. And yeah.
They trademarked a new thing too. They trademarked Tales of Luminaria recently as well.
Or Luminaria. Yeah.
Luminaria.
So we don't have any idea what that could pertain to. It could be, I hope not, a new mobile game. It could be a collection of games, or it could
be a name change.
It could be a name change, though I don't think so, because that was the one we were speculating on a few weeks ago, because to the popular knowledge, most Tales games have the area ending to their name. So Vesperia, Symphonia, Legendia, and etc. But I counted them, and it's kind of 50-50. So it really doesn't matter how the name ends. So there's really no idea what Luminaria could be. If I had to guess, it's probably going to be a new multimedia project. So manga, anime, and maybe a Switch exclusive game. That's my bet. All right. Next up is Falcom Day 2020 Winter, set for December 20th. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. Kadokawa Game Linkage has announced Falcom Day 2020 Winter, an online event that will be held on December 20th in cooperation with Falcom. In addition to the latest information on Falcom's plans for 2021, the event will feature various segments sprinkled with voice actors, Falcom President Toshihiro Kondo, and a live performance by Falcom JDK Band. Many new The Legend of Heroes Hajimari no Kiseki goods will also be sold. I don't know if it's mentioned in the next one. Okay, it's mentioned in the next one.
Did it say?
You were going to say?
Well, I don't think we'd get any updates on East 9 because that's already out in Japan. That's been out in Japan.
Maybe a gameplay demo, like the first 15 minutes of the game will be shown. That's what I assume.
I mean, it's been out in Japan, so I don't know why they show that.
Yeah, but in English,
We're
in
getting
English,
it next year, supposedly.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
possibly.
that's probably what they'd be doing. Next up, we have Falcom to release multiple console games for the 40th anniversary in 2021, including next Trails game. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. Falcom will release several titles in celebration of its 40th anniversary in 2021, including the next entry in the Trails series, the company said in its latest financial report. Key tidbits are as follows. 2021 will mark the 40th anniversary of Falcom. Falcom plans to release multiple titles for consoles in commemoration of its 40th anniversary, including an all-new entry in the Trails series. And with over 5 million copies sold and winner of various awards, including the Japan Game Award, Famitsu Award, and PlayStation Awards, the Trails series is one of Falcom's flagship franchises. And Falcom will expand its game content to multiple platforms such as PlayStation 4, Switch, PC, and smartphone worldwide. Curiously, no mention of next-gen consoles. And finally, Falcom will continue to provide appealing new game content while actively utilizing in-house IP to produce new titles that act as new challenges, including the Trails and Ys series. Okay, that was a mouthful. And I'm still not done.
Yeah.
I have one more left. Okay. Next up, we have COVID-19 vaccine announcement seems to cause game companies' stock to drop. This is by Joe Scrubbles for IGN. As news of milestone COVID-19 vaccine was announced today, many games companies saw their stock price drop sharply, seemingly as a direct result of the news. News of a Pfizer BioNTech vaccine with an apparent 90% effectiveness began to spread around 5 a.m. Pacific, 8 a.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. UK today. I should say this is the 9th of November where this was published. ICO Partners CEO Thomas Bideau then noted that at around the same time, the stock of CD Projekt, Cyberpunk 2077, and Ubisoft Assassin's Creed Watch Dogs had dropped sharply over their earlier levels. Okay, so you can click on the article for full details on this. It's noteworthy, but there's no real clear explanation as to why. If I had to wager a guess, it's because of COVID, people being locked in their homes, digital spending and video game playing has increased. So a vaccine being announced would lead to people playing games less? Question mark?
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, that's what I would think.
It's not a huge deal, really. It's just like, that's interesting.
Yeah, looking at the chart, it's surprising to see how much their stock actually dropped because of the announcement.
Yeah. Still gonna take a while, guys. Don't. Nobody in the audience. Don't get too excited. Okay,
Yeah.
Don't start going out.
We
Still wear
still
a mask.
have COVID for at least another half a year. At least.
So yeah, and it also depends on what area you live in and all this other. There are a lot of factors. So nobody jump the gun just yet. You know. But in time, I think Talk agrees with me.
Yep. He wants to go outside and play.
I don't blame him.
So do I.
Alright. So, next story. Sakuna of Rice and Ruin pre-ordered twice as many times on Switch. This is by Ishaan Sahdev for Siliconera. Nearly 4 years after its first trailer, Sakuna of Rice and Ruin will release for the PC, Nintendo Switch, and PlayStation 4. But that wasn't always the case. Initially, Sakuna, which augments its stylish action platforming with an intricate rice harvesting sim, was only in development for the PC and PS4, and the Switch hadn't been considered. Now, Xseed Games Executive Vice President Kenji Hosoi announced the Sakuna of Rice and Ruin Switch version was pre-ordered 2-1 over PS4. According to Xseed, which is publishing Sakuna in North America, the platforms it would appear on changed after Nintendo expressed an interest in Edelweiss's game. Ever since the Switch version's announcement, Most of Sakuna's exposure to the public has been at presentations like the company's Nintendo's Direct and Treehouse Live, which has driven more pre-orders on the platform. And there's a statement you can read if you're interested. I've been excited for this game. I played it like 2 E3s in a row. It's a side-scrolling beat-em-up essentially, but you also on the side you do rice farming and it gives you different stat boost.
So it's pretty much How to Be an Asian, the video game.
Right. Hey, so I've heard about this game. I did not know it was coming to PS4. I thought this was a Switch exclusive. So Nintendo's marketing's doing a real good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Next story is Level 5 trademarks World Trick in Japan. Square Enix trademarks Live Alive. I thought they trademarked that already. It was more the Level 5 thing. Level 5 filed trademarks for World Trick in Japan in English and Japanese on October 27th.
Curious.
Square Enix also filed trademarks for Live Alive and Dragon no Shima, Dragon's Island, on the same day. Live Alive, which is an RPG released for the Super Famicom in September 1994 in Japan, was also trademarked in the US, Canada, Europe, and Australia back in July. And then next piece of Level 5 news is that Megaton Musashi adds PS5 version, and these were both stories from Saurumano over at Gamatsu. Also coming to PlayStation 4 and Switch. Level 5 developed cooperative robot action RPG Megaton Musashi will launch for PlayStation 5 in addition to its previously announced PlayStation 4 and Switch versions. The latest issue of Weekly Jump reveals. The game is featured on the back cover of the November 16th due issue of the magazine, which mentions the PS5 version. Will it actually come out? Will Level 5 actually start releasing games again at some point? Who knows?
Here's hoping, though.
Yeah, they've been in a weird spot just everywhere. Alright, Jason.
Yeah. Next up is me again. Sega wants to release more Atlas ports, remasters, and remakes. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. Kind of interesting because this was kind of declared a month ago, but okay. Sega wants to release more Atlas catalog titles across various platforms following the success of the PC port of Persona 4 Golden. Sega Sammy president and CEO Haruki Satomi said during Sega's financial results briefing on November 6th. He quotes, "As for Steam, while we haven't been actively releasing Atlas titles on PC, we felt that there was much potential there and put out a direct port of Persona 4 Golden for PC. And the user response was far beyond our expectations," Satomi said. That being said, we hope to release Atlas catalog titles across various platforms, whether as direct ports or in the form of remasters or remakes. So get your Persona 3 banners ready, Erroll.
Persona 3 and Persona 2.
I mean,
give them all to me. Persona
3 needs to happen
1,
for sure.
We don't need Persona 1. That's the one we don't need.
Why not? What's wrong with Persona 1?
Because nobody likes Persona 1, that's why.
That's
if you
not
want to
true.
play Persona 1, just get the mini PS1 Classic, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, or the Vita one that was on PSP. You can also play that on PlayStation
Was it
TV.
on Vita?
Yeah. It was remade for PSP. And then that was also playable on Vita. Okay. Let's see. Next up, we have Sony confirms PlayStation 5 Remote Play is coming to the PlayStation 4.
It's
This
already
is
on,
by...
I think. Because I looked at my PS4.
Yep, I saw the app yesterday.
It's already on PS4.
Yeah, that's true. This is by Brianna Reeves for PlayStation Lifestyle. So this is kind of old news. In a surprise move by Sony, a PlayStation 5 Remote Play app popped up on the PS4 this morning. Not everyone can access it though. Reportedly, the app's download will only go through those with Japanese accounts. This still seems an interesting turn of events. However, since it means PS4 players will be able to remotely access their PS5 content from another location. Okay, so it's been confirmed that this is coming for basically anyone who still owns a PS4, and they kind of want to retain the same ecosystem, or make it at least easier for people who just bought a PS5 but are still clinging on to their PS4s for whatever reason. It's a good thing. I don't mind it.
I don't get the point of it though. Is it like I don't quite get the point.
So a lot of people have been saying it's great to have the PS4 like a different room, and you're still able to like swap between them. But I feel
you don't have to move the console.
Exactly.
Yes.
Or let's say
I feel like Sony's mostly doing it just to keep people in the ecosystem more.
Yeah, exactly. Or let's say you.
Yeah, I don't have the internet for that, but yeah, I guess that is.
Or let's say you have a reasonably sized household. You just bought a PS5 and you're like, okay, my kid can have the PS4 in their room, but you don't want them to move that giant console from the living room all the way up the stairs to their room.
Yeah.
So the PS4 being in their room allows them to access the PS5 games via remote play.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Next up is, in Japan, Sony will stop servicing the original PlayStation 4. How dare they? This is by Brian Ashcraft for Kotaku. With the PlayStation 5 launching this month, a new console era has begun. Sony is driving that point home by revealing that it will no longer service launch PS4s in Japan. Via Twitter, Sony announced that on December 5th, on December 25th, the service for PS4 CUH1000, CUH1100 series of consoles would end in Japan, and individuals needing their console service should officially request service prior to that date. Note, Sony will then accept consoles shipped by January 8, 2021 for repair. The PlayStation 4 originally launched in jet black on February 22nd, 2014 in Japan, which was after its November 2013 release in North America. Later, the console would see a Slim and Pro series. Sony will continue to service these later iterations. So it's just the first and second iteration of the launched PS4, the slanted glossy one and the slightly glossy one, which is a bummer because God knows they need the service, but it's Sony just nudging and winking you to say, hey, buy the new, more expensive one. We're not gonna keep servicing you. On second thought, I could use better phrasing for that sentence, but I digress. PlayStation 5 store wishlist option confirmed. This is by Jenni Lada for Siliconera. The PlayStation 5 version of the PlayStation Store will have a feature people have wanted for quite some time. I mean, sure. Essentially, you'll be able to better keep tabs on things you want to buy. Bush Square confirmed with a pre-launch unit that there will be a PlayStation Store wishlist option available, and even shared a screenshot showing it in action. Okay, so they removed the option just to reapply it later? I don't really get the logic behind that.
I feel it's because like PlayStation's entire network system is like duct taped together. Where it's like, oh, we want to update this. We can't update it in its current form, so we have to remove it, patch it, and put it back in just to make sure the entire rest of the network stays online and operational.
Yeah, or they were like, okay, people don't really use this, so we're just gonna cut it, and then the backlash started, and they're like, oh, okay, so people actually do love this.
No,
I can definitely see that too. Yep.
A wish list is so useful, and I'm always so.
To the consumer, yes, but to the ones that own the store and they don't actually use it as with Steam for metrics and data, they're like, okay, well, whatever.
Because I love the wishlist system on like that's the one thing Nintendo did right. I know it's a simple thing, but I feel like that's one of the things Nintendo does right. The wish list, super simple. Just add right there.
Yeah.
And then Sony's just like, nope, you don't have it.
Yeah,
Now you
like
have
I said, they were probably looking at the data and they saw people weren't really utilizing them as much, or they weren't getting any useful data out of it.
I'm going to make sure to utilize it now.
Okay. Best of luck to you. Next up is Capcom sales update. Monster Hunter World Iceborne at 6.6 million. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard at 8.3 million. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. Capcom has updated its list of platinum titles, games that have sold over 1 million units, providing total sales numbers as of September 30th, 2020. Notable updates include Monster Hunter World Iceborne has sold 6.6 million units. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard has sold 8.3 million units. Monster Hunter World Vanilla has sold 16.4 million units, which, wow, that's impressive. Resident Evil 2, I think that's the remake, has sold 7.5 million units. RE3 Remake has sold 3 million units. Street Fighter 5 has sold 5 million copies. And Devil May Cry 5 has sold 3.9 million units. Okay, interesting stuff. Capcom's resurgence continues, and I hope that stays for the next generation. Next up is Genshin Impact environmental damage will be rebalanced. This is by Jenni Lada for Siliconera. Okay, who complained about this? Who are you? When again,
I haven't played Genshin Impact in a while, so I'm not sure if this is this a recent problem?
Well, what's the one girl, the red one with the bow and arrow and the fire?
Amber.
Yeah, Amber. Like she has a doll that she throws that explodes.
Yes.
I'm guessing
Baron Bunny. I'm familiar.
Attacks like that have too much auto harm, or friendly fire.
Yeah, it says because of the update.
Yeah. So they're going to rebalance that. But I thought it was funny. Who complained about this, really? Anyway, when Genshin Impact 1.1 update launched, it did more than add new quests and characters. It also fixed bugs. But one fix turned out to be a bit overzealous. Genshin Impact environmental damage ended up being higher than intended, and MiHoYo announced rebalancing and fixes are in the work. The developer's response also explained how it happened. Before the 1.1 patch, Genshin Impact environmental damage wasn't scaling properly. In the game, you can increase your world level as you level up to keep enemies at your level and competitive. In the announcement that it would be remedied, MiHoYo admitted, this version update fix has, in practice, thus resulted in more harm than good to the player experience. A fix isn't available yet, but one is on the way. Okay, so that's good news for you Genshin Impact players. Okay, final...
Yeah, I need to download the update still.
Yeah, it's 10 gigabytes. Okay.
Oh boy.
Xyger, are you... Yeah, are you a player of Genshin Impact, Xyger?
It's a game I've absolutely been meaning to start, but I haven't done it yet. But I've seen so many of my friends like play and stream it. It's like, man, I can't wait to start this game because like art style wise, it reminds me very much of like a Tales game, which I love and adore. But the thing that makes me really want to try it is that it is free to play. But the thing that makes me hesitant is just how the gachapon system works. I don't really quite understand it just on paper. I need to like play to really get it.
So the gachapon system is pretty much the same as in every other gacha game, but it's not so aggressive that it forces you to upgrade your characters or roll for better characters. The game is fine if you have the same 3-star or 4-star team that you have or that you start with. So in that respect, it's pretty forgiving. Only if you want top tier waifus will you probably be diving into the gacha system.
I do hear there's kind of a bit of a level cap eventually.
Yeah. Okay.
Or like just like where you can't really do as much and you hit a wall.
That's
I've also heard about this wall.
Yeah, it's kind of typical for free-to-play games. You have this wall also in Star Wars The Old Republic, which made me stop playing because I got so frustrated with not being able to do anything normally. There was always a catch like, oh, you can travel at normal speed once you hit level 25, but also level 20 if you pay us. Like, okay, no, I'll stop. Thanks, but no thanks. Okay. Final main story is Shiren the Wanderer, the Tower of Fortune, and the Dice of Fate for Switch and PC overview trailer. This is, well, the trailer has been released, so the title didn't make any sense. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. Spike Chunsoft has released an overview trailer for Shiren the Wanderer, the Tower of Fortune, and the Dice of Fate on Switch and PC, as well as announced that pre-orders are now available via the Nintendo eShop for $19.99 US. While Shiren the Wanderer, the Tower of Fortune, and the Dice of Fate will not receive a standard retail release in the West, Spike Chunsoft confirmed that limited run games will produce a physical edition. Details will be announced in the near future. You can click on article for a full overview and a trailer for the game. The Shiren the Wanderer games are always so colorful. They have great pixel art.
Yeah.
But from what I've read, they're very tough. So enter at own risk.
I'm just surprised we're getting a release outside of Japan.
Well,
I mean, it's not the first time.
Yeah, the sheer.
It's been a while.
Yeah, that's true. But the Shiren the Wanderer game have picked up steam over the years, so I'm guessing it's not that out of the question.
Okay, so now it's time for the main topic, and we are going to talk about next-gen Japanese game support. So far, Xbox is doing a little better because of we have Dragon Quest 11 on Game Pass. We
Yakuza
have
7.
Yakuza 7.
Like a Dragon.
Yeah, so the thing I want to bring up is both next-gen consoles, and this is probably just because pandemic launch lineups are never all that great, all that. Both seem to have one big Japanese game. Xbox has Yakuza 7. PlayStation 5 has Demon Souls Remake.
Well, slight asterisk there. It's co-developed by a British studio, so
Bluepoint.
Yeah, it's not
which is not a Japanese studio apparently.
Yeah.
But it is the original. It's from software, so it is. It's the closest thing.
Yeah,
And I agree with that. It's Japanese-esque, especially the original.
We'll allow it.
So I do wonder, because of how, PlayStation 5 is apparently, kind of switching gears with its support in Japan. It'll still support Japanese games, but it might not focus on them as much. Whereas Xbox is trying to break into that market. Break into that market more with how they have, Dragon Quest and Phantasy Star Online and Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts, all these things on Game Pass, and then what's that one game? Balan Wonderland, that's a Japanese game as well.
I think
so I just wonder how you guys think it will turn out over time, how we'll see them.
Ooh. Okay, I'll let Xyger go first because I just talked a lot. So let me rest my vocal cords.
Yeah. Don't worry, I got this. So it's very interesting to see Xbox's take on next gen and Japanese game support. We haven't heard a lot from the Sony side, but on Xbox side, they recently went to Tokyo Game Show. They were showing off more Minecraft updates, Flight Simulator, things that we already knew about here in the West. But I don't know if you two are super aware, but Minecraft is huge in Japan, mostly on Switch. But them focusing on that Japanese market, and as we're probably going to be talking about soon, Microsoft has been in talks with multiple Japanese studios about an acquisition. They want to build a presence in Japan. I personally think it would be better for them to start a studio from the ground up in Japan I think
Mm-hmm.
it will take a much longer time to like get a game out that way, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But I think honestly, if they were to build a studio from the ground up that's like in Japan, has its roots out there, and is able to like learn from all the surrounding studios, it would make a greater product. But I think right now Microsoft is still in that mindset of buy what we don't have. They recently bought Bethesda. They've sorry, you go.
Oh, so the thing that Phil Spencer said about there was an update on the looking to buy Japanese developers, and in that interview that I mentioned in the recommended content, he said, responding to whether any discussions had actually taken place, he said, "I don't think so. I say I don't think so. I mean, I'm not in every meeting that every team has, but I'll say not from me. Most of the opportunities that we've had to date have been a long-lasting relationship. And so I don't think we're out there with our business card throwing them out on the corner trying to find people." Although that's a very generic answer. That's not really...
Phil Spencer is the master of dancing around actual answers.
Yes.
Yup, completely agree.
Yeah, so I'm not saying he's lying, but I'm also thinking he's holding a few cards closer to his chest for the time being. If I had to guess, they'd probably be looking into buying an established studio, because that would signal to the rest of the Japanese developers, oh, Microsoft isn't just investing with a new console, they're interested in us as game makers and developers and people that create art. They're supporting us, so maybe we should also be playing on Xbox. There was a Bloomberg article that was dropped this week, I think, that mentioned that Sony wasn't really pleased with the PlayStation 4's performance in Japan, which is really surprising because Japan is their home base. But as we have seen how Sony PlayStation's corporate business has shifted more towards the Western Europe, it kind of makes sense. And also how they reverted the confirm and deny button prompts on the controller from the Circle and X and vice versa. Also kind of makes me think Sony's trying to position themselves more as a Western quote-unquote company than a originally Japanese company. And yeah, if you look at the PlayStation 5, the console itself, it's physically imposing. And if you look at a typical Japanese household in a metropolitan area, you don't have that much room. So having this ginormous console doesn't really sit well for most people. And most people are also on the road, on their commute, and they're probably on their mobile devices. So what works best for those scenarios? It's either a Nintendo Switch or a mobile phone with Xbox Game Pass.
Plus they did the opposite of what they usually do. So wait, there is a PS4 Slim, right?
Yeah, there's a PS4 Slim.
There is, yes.
Yeah.
But like they kind of focused on doing the opposite this gen with both PlayStation and Xbox, where they made the bigger consoles with the better the mid-gen upgrade thing.
Yeah, the Xbox Series S is also positioned to work very well in smaller households or middle income households. Like, I don't have all the money in the world. If I had to choose, and if my biggest library wasn't on PlayStation, I'd go for an Xbox Series S because it's affordable. And I'd get Game Pass because for the price of 1 or 2 games per year, I get access to 100+ games all year long.
A
ton.
Many.
And it's constantly rotating
every month.
Yeah, exactly. And let's say I'm living in Japan. Let's say I have an Xbox Series S and I'm on the go. I have my mobile phone. I can take my game progress with me, and when I'm back, I can comfortably play behind my Xbox Series S, or if I'm behind my desktop with my PC, I can play from my PC. So having that connected ecosystem that doesn't require you to do a lot is really appealing. And I'm guessing that's also why the Nintendo Switch is also starting to experiment with streaming games. Well, they've already experimented with it, but now it's more of a real effort into that space. So I'm guessing you're going to see a lot more of that. And if Sony isn't going to be serious with their streaming software and with a more appealing physical unit for the PlayStation 5, they might be looking at a number 3 position for Japan and Asia.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said, especially in regards to like how xCloud is becoming more of a thing. Everyone knows that Japan's game console market has been getting smaller and smaller as mobile market increases. Switch is, of course, the upset to that, where Switch is doing well in Japan, but consoles have historically just been decreasing in sales over time.
Yeah.
But with xCloud, it's like, oh, we're just going to tap into the mobile market that's already existing.
Yeah.
And if they get the Japanese support, like Dragon Quest is coming to xCloud, anyone in Japan who is a huge fan of Dragon Quest in the past can just pay $15 or whatever the equivalent is in yen to play the newest Dragon Quest on their phone.
Yeah,
so it's like they don't even need to invest in the console anymore. They can just get Xbox games via xCloud.
That's
so even if Xbox doesn't sell the consoles, they'll sell the service, which will boost up game studios for Japan and Xbox as a whole, and more Japanese studios will be more inclined to put their games on Xbox.
Definitely, because like I said at the beginning, if Microsoft shows them that they're committed to being there, they'll respond in kind. And initial interviews with developers in Japan during this generation have kind of signaled that, where they said, oh, they're launching simultaneously. They're not leaving us behind this time. And Microsoft making this effort, including us in their programs and their presentation, shows us that they're committed, and we want to reward them with that commitment for as long as possible. And it's a great thing to see, and you've already seen it with Yakuza 7 and Tales of Arise for next year. So don't count Microsoft out of the Japan race just yet. It's going to be a really interesting generation.
Yeah. I forgot what I was gonna say something, but I completely lost it. So there was a report from Bloomberg that said Microsoft said, that was the Microsoft one. Yeah, so we're going to talk about that. But the Sony thing, there was Sony denies reports that is sidelining PlayStation in Japan, and this is from PlayStation Lifestyle by Zarmena Khan. An interesting new report published by Bloomberg claims that there are concerns within Sony's PlayStation division over the company's sidelining of the Japanese market. Employees who chose to remain anonymous told Bloomberg's Takashi Mochizuki that Sony viewed PS4's performance as disappointing in Japan. But then, Sony has reportedly... what? Oh, he said... Oh, Sony wouldn't talk about it. Oh, there's no information in this.
Yeah, it's just...
Anyway, Sony's denying that it's sidelining.
Yeah, it's just Sony saying, no, we're not backing out of Japan. We're really still committed to Japan. We're going to stay in Japan. Yeah. There's nothing to see here. Nothing suspicious happening at all.
We'll see if that's the case.
Yeah.
And then the one interesting thing about Japanese support is that Yakuza Like a Dragon is not launching alongside the Xbox Series X in Japan.
No. It's an interesting case. They
didn't say it'll never come out.
No, that's not.
They haven't officially announced it.
Yeah.
And it's been out in Japan for like about a year now. On, I think PS4 and PC, I believe, or maybe just PS4. So. I'm guessing going multi-platform was a little more of a Western thing, like a Western focused thing. I don't know.
If I had to guess, I'd say it's probably that this deal with Xbox Series X for the West was locked in pretty early, and with the recent Sega Sammy troubles, that's why they're not committing to a next-gen Japan release as of now.
Yeah.
I don't know how true that would be or how much that holds up, but that's my guess. It's definitely strange.
Yeah, I think for next gen, the Japanese game support is going to look very interesting as things go on. Obviously, at launch, there's certain things, and with this pandemic, things have been delayed, and other problems, just regular game development problems, like how Halo Infinite got delayed and all that.
Yeah, it has a lot of problems.
Yeah.
It hurts my soul every time.
Yeah. But we'll see. It always makes for for really interesting content at gaming shows. Even though they're just virtually at the moment, they'll come back someday. Like the most interesting thing to me was when it was like E3 2018, I think, that Xbox showed a ton of third-party Japanese games at their showcase. Including, I can't remember if it included Kakarot or Fighter Z. It included some Dragon Ball stuff and a bunch of JRPG stuff, and it was like, whoa, or just Japanese and anime
I think that
stuff,
was
and it was like,
yeah,
and it was like, whoa, Xbox. Like, that's how you get the Japanese market. So I'm curious to see how everything plays out in the next few years and all that. So we do have one listener question from Sarah, who known to both me and Xyger also as Squid Girl.
Shout out to Squid Girl.
That's just yeah. She wrote an entire essay here. So she said, PS5 has released, and I couldn't help but notice there is no web browser on the system at all. Most people never use the console web browser for either Xbox or PlayStation, as they historically have been due to. However, PS5 does have a settings menu specifically for their non-existent browser. One could argue that Sony removed the browser because they were tired of people using it to watch pornography or homebrew their consoles, as Pornhub and homebrewing sites often release the stats on how many PS4 and Xbox users visit the site. However, recently both Microsoft and Stadia have talked about web-based solutions to their streaming services. These talks are meant to get around Apple's App Store restrictions and can't be blocked. Do you think Sony removed their web browser specifically so users couldn't use it to stream xCloud or Stadia on the PS5? While it won't be the optimal way to stream games from other consoles, it technically would have worked. Do you think Sony would eventually release the browser for the PS5? Or will they forever lock it to prevent xCloud and Stadia from coming to PS5? That is a very interesting question.
Okay, Xyger, what do you think?
Okay, so I don't think Sony intentionally removed the browser specifically for xCloud and Stadia. I think they just removed the browser because they probably looked at the optics and were like, oh, not many people use the PlayStation web browser at all.
Exactly.
It would take up however much OS to get it running and whatnot. I assume they removed it just because they didn't feel the need to keep it. However, I do think with xCloud and Stadia coming in the future, that Sony is in no rush to bring the web browser back at all.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they want to have any restrictions on certain websites or anything. Like they don't want to enforce that onto the web browser already. So I think I don't think they will release the web browser at all, because again, they probably don't see the use for it. They don't want to put R&D and take up OS on the hard drive that's already limited.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure they're not sad that xCloud and Stadia were never coming via the web browser. I think that's a positive side effect to them.
Yeah, it's an added bonus. I'm guessing they did not remove it because people were watching it. Well, we were watching porn on it. Because I'm guessing you could like block certain specific IP addresses, and that would disable any viewing of any questionable material, shall we say. And in terms of Stadia and xCloud, Stadia and xCloud still need supported browsers. So Stadia would need a Chrome browser, and xCloud would also need some behind-the-scenes stuff enabled or fixed or allowed so that they can run their platform on a browser. So if Microsoft and Sony weren't in talks or in agreement about that, I don't think it would even be possible if the browser was still around. So I'm siding with Xyger, where I also think they looked at the data and analytics and said, you know what, we don't have anything to lose here. People aren't really using it for what it's supposed to be used, so we'll just cut it. It'll be fine.
Because the only function the web browser usually has, but like that I see it have, is like is if something's not working, and then it's just like, and then it links you to the web browser, like on PS4, for example. I forgot the specific thing.
Oh yeah, like error codes and whatnot.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, it's not a huge deal. That makes sense. I think we're gonna cut it there, unless you guys have anything else to say about that.
No, I'm pretty good.
Nah, I think I got everything I need to say about that.
Yeah.
Okay. For our audience, Xyger, where can they follow you?
You can follow me on everything at Xyger1337. That's spelled XYGER1337. Again, that's on all platforms: Twitter, Twitch, anything else.
All right. Do you have any work you want to promote or anything we should be keeping our eyes out for?
Yeah, definitely. If people haven't yet, the Yakuza Like a Dragon review on my MXAM.com. I worked on that review. I'm also going to be working on another piece regarding Yakuza for my MXAM. That's still the work, so that hasn't been released yet. But these episodes come out on Saturdays, right?
Friday mornings.
So probably not tomorrow Friday, but like the week after, it should be up. So like just check out my MXAM.com.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Xyger, it was a pleasure. Thank you for joining us, and we hope
you were welcome anytime.
Yeah,
thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks,
I got to learn a lot more than I thought I would.
that humbles us. Thank you for saying that. This has been In From Japan, episode 45. Thank you for listening. This has been Erroll. This has been Xyger. This has been Jason. We're signing off.
Yep.
Good night. Good luck. Wash your hands.
Wear a mask.
Be kind to people. Stay healthy.
Yes. Yes.
And we'll see you next time.
Yep. Matane.
Nice. Okay.